G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, back at it again with another episode of r/relationship advice. Now if you love today's content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and tell me what you think of all these stories. And what advice would you give? Posted by user ThrowRA927, titled, My sister and my brother-in-law won't let me kiss my boyfriend. I, 30 female, have agreed to carry my sister's 42 female baby for her as she is unable herself and lacks the financial resources to pay a surrogate. I am happy to do this, or at least I was. I am 6 months along at the moment, and I met a lovely man recently, and we are in the early stages of a relationship. He knows about my situation and is very accepting and considerate. Before agreeing to carry their baby, we had some firm rules placed. They asked me to stay away from any sexual contact with men. I agreed, and I really didn't mind, nor do I mind it right now. The agreement was no sex of any kind. And I have not done anything with anyone as agreed. A few days ago, I introduced my new boyfriend to my sister and brother-in-law, and at first, everything was great. They invited us for dinner last Saturday. We had a great meal and a great time together. They all seemed to get along. That is, until he had to leave. When my boyfriend said his goodbyes to my sister and brother-in-law, he then came over to me and hugged and kissed me quite passionately, but not in a vulgar way, nor was it for a long period. Literally seconds. As soon as he left, my sister and brother-in-law jumped down my throat, asking about how I broke the rules, how disgusting and wicked I am. I genuinely was shocked. I had not expected such a blowout or their irrational behavior/feelings towards me, literally just getting a kiss. I decided not to argue or even go into a conversation with them and just walked home. I live about 30 minutes walk away, and by the time I got back home, I had an email waiting for me. The email contained our original agreement, but now it included a section with no kissing of any kind, and they want me to sign the new agreement. I don't want to, as I have been more than accommodating and considerate of all their original requests. I feel like they are now crossing boundaries and acting as if I am some sort of farm animal they own and control. I don't want to create any further animosity between us. They have been calling and texting me since then, and I have yet to answer. I would like to reply back via email so that there can be no confusion and to create some separation. Any advice on what to write would be great. So, how do I reply back to their email without being rude? Or, how do I deal with them in general? Edit. They did offer to drive me home, but I declined as I enjoy walking, and at the time it was my only way to comfortably exercise. The baby is my biological sister's and brother-in-law. This child is made from her last and only viable egg. They had tried so many times before, but they all failed. So I understood their anxiety and worry when we originally made the first agreement, and I viewed it and still view their initial request as acceptable. I wasn't in a relationship at the beginning of all of this, and they were worried about potential STIs, and I understood, and I was already taking a break from sex and men at the time. I am doing this completely for free, and without any reward other than helping my sister have her first and only biological child. Edit. I've decided to send this as a response. Dear sister and brother-in-law, I am truly shocked and saddened by your reaction to my partner kissing me and with your continued behavior. I'd like to remind you that I am a human being, an adult, and your family. I am honored to carry your child and to help you as best I can. However, I insist on being treated as a person and not an incubator. I can understand both of your worries and irrational thoughts, as this is your last attempt for a biological child. I truly empathize with you and want you to have your beautiful family. This is why I've agreed to do this completely for free, with the restrictions that we've originally agreed to and set. I have been nothing less than compliant and considerate of all your requests. I have upheld my side of the agreement. I have kept my word and upheld my responsibilities towards the baby and yourselves. However, instead of being beyond grateful, you two have decided to stop respecting me. So much so that you now feel you're in a position to make any demands of me. instead of treating me as the kind and very generous sister I am being. I love you, and I love the baby I am carrying for you. I would never, ever do anything to harm the baby or cause any disruption to a healthy, successful pregnancy and birth. I will therefore, under no circumstances, sign the new agreement as I do not agree with it. However, I do demand you both take a step back and try to look at all of this rationally. I fully understand your anxiety around the baby, given the struggles you've faced. I feel for you greatly, but that does not mean you two get to treat me in this manner. The stress and distress that you two are causing me is far more damaging to the baby than any kissing between my partner and I. Again, I ask you to rethink what you're doing, and if you are not capable, I will have to start distancing myself from both of you until after the birth of your child. Lovingly, your sister. Last edits. I live in the Marshall Islands and we have zero COVID-19, and so their worry wasn't coming from fear of me or the baby contracting it. They are paying for all medical expenses and any expenses that come with the pregnancy. They just aren't paying me as a surrogate. The cost of a surrogate here can vary from $50,000 to $120,000, and it's not unusual to pay way more than that. Cluing123 says, the way they are trying to control that aspect of your life is outrageous. Normal surrogate contracts aren't even like this. You have no obligation to put your life 100% on hold like that while carrying their baby. What you are doing is such a selfless act already. You shouldn't let them force you to adhere to those rules. If you don't agree to those rules, I'd explain that to them and that you will no longer discuss any of that with them as it's not their business who you kiss. It's honestly none of their business whether she has sex either. I seriously doubt that agreement is legal or enforceable. Tell them to go try their luck spending $80,000 on some third-party surrogate if they don't like it. I could agree with it if it said something like, agree to take reasonable precautions against contracting STDs or something. Like, just saying this as a thing that exists, please be careful. But this whole thing stunk from the beginning. And over a fudging kiss? No, we are so far over the line. At first, I thought the same, but then I thought I could understand because COVID, but then I thought that obviously isn't a concern since they are having a fudging dinner party, and OP made an edit regarding it. They're crazy. That's literally insane. You're already giving up a sex life for 9 months and going through the hardships of pregnancy. Set your boundaries, girl. She should get paid a crap ton for this, but unfortunately, I suspect they just convinced her that she needs to do it. OP should send the modified contract back with a new clause. OP will get paid $40,000 when the pregnancy ends or something, then it's probably worth not kissing for the next months, lol. Update, oof. Poor OP risks ruining her body for a thank you, and I wouldn't be surprised if she is scammed out of that even. Exactly this. If they're going to treat her as their employee 24/7 for the next 3 months, she should be compensated accordingly. No is a complete sentence. Alternatively, I signed your agreement in the first place. You don't get to change it. End of story, not up for negotiation. If you want to tear up the original agreement, let me know. I'm not signing an updated one. I will live my life by the terms that we agreed. Edit or what might be a decent answer too. You aren't creating animosity. They are being insane. Bear in mind they didn't say we're not comfortable with that, or could you please not, however unreasonable that is. They went straight from 0 to 100. They've also admitted you haven't broken the rules by trying to update the rules. Say no, keep your distance if they get crappy about it. They clearly don't care about being rude to you, so don't worry yourself too much about them interpreting what you write as being rude either. They sound like the sort of people who, even when faced with the kindest and gentlest no the world has ever seen, they still flip out and think it's rude, so don't exhaust yourself looking for perfect language. Don't negotiate with emotional terrorists. My sister and brother-in-law won't let me kiss my boyfriend. Update. I sent that email and CC'd my lawyer, who reached out to theirs to arrange a meeting to go through our contract, discuss the current issue, and re-establish boundaries. However, my sister decided to come over today to discuss things before our meeting. After a long talk, she apologized to me and told me that her husband got in her head because he believed that if he was kissing a woman like that, then surely they'd do more or plan on doing more. My brother-in-law basically got into my sister's head by believing I would have sex with my boyfriend because, and I quote, "No man can last that long without. And why would a man willingly choose a pregnant woman, let alone one who wouldn't have sex with him? So of course she's having sex with him." Their main worry was that he might have an STI and possibly transfer it to me and hurt their baby. After our talk, I did accept her apology, but I also requested distance for a little while, as it did and does hurt that they would be that ungrateful and irrational to have acted so terribly towards me. My sister and I normally get along very well, and this is literally our first time falling out. Normally, she is my rock, and this was their first time crossing the line, but I guess anxiety and fear can really make people act absolutely insane. Just to clarify some things, the reason why my sister and brother-in-law asked me is because I had been a surrogate once before and already have 2 children of my own. During my first surrogacy, I delivered 2 healthy children for a Chinese couple who paid me more than handsomely for the pregnancy and my milk. I had never intended to carry another child after my surrogacy, but I had watched my sister and brother-in-law struggle for many years and with many failed attempts. At the time that they had asked me for my help, they had already spent at least $500,000 on 1 failed surrogacy, several failed IVF attempts, and fertility specialist. They simply couldn't afford to try again. This is why I agreed that they would pay for all medical expenses and other bills relating to the pregnancy, clothing, rent, bills, food, pregnancy aftercare, but not for my actual time. Our surrogacy contract is legally binding and enforceable if I deviate from our agreed terms in terms of a fine. They assumed that kissing was included into the contract and believed I was in breach, which is why they flipped out on me at dinner. Our contract is 120 pages, and I guess they forgot that kissing wasn't included. The no sex rule was added as I was practicing celibacy at the time, and I had no issue, and still don't have an issue with continuing it. I also practiced celibacy during my last surrogacy, as the Chinese couple I was carrying for requested it, and they were willing to pay extra for my celibacy, including extra pay for regular STI testing and extra pay for every day I used their pre-approved nutritional plan. Couples who do pay for a surrogate can ask of the surrogate during negotiations for nearly anything that is considered reasonable, and/or the surrogate willingly accepts. Lastly, I am all for pro-choice and absolutely believe in a woman's rights to choose, but you can't legally abort a baby at 6 months, as it is literally a viable baby. It is a premature baby that can live outside the womb. Also, what a ridiculously cruel thing to do to the baby, yourself, and the parents. Damn, your brother-in-law has some regressive views, but hopefully you'll be fine, and so will your relationship with them. Although I hope you make sure he understands his boundaries. Yeah, I am pretty upset with my brother-in-law for starting crap, but also with my sister who would so easily believe it, especially since I am literally putting my life on hold for them and possibly endangering my life. Women still die from pregnancies and birth. My sister did try to apologize on his behalf, and he did ask if he could come over to apologize, but I am kind of done, to be honest. Which is why I have asked for complete distance from him, and he's no longer allowed to be in the room during the birth. I am trying to carry on a relationship with my sister as best as I can, but I also need distance from her, which she understands and has accepted. Posted by user ThrowRA titled, I, 23 male, found a sex tape on my girlfriend, 23 female's phone, and it wasn't ours. I've been dating this girl for over 5 years. She's very special to me. Even at this point, I can't help but hope she's not too worried about why I've been acting so oddly. I honestly was planning to marry her sometime in the future, as soon as we settled into our adult lives. One day, we were chilling at her house when I asked her if she could send me the funny picture she took earlier that day of one of our puppies. She was busy on her PC, so she told me to just grab her phone to send it to myself. When I went into her phone gallery, I noticed a hidden folder which I hadn't seen before. Out of curiosity, I opened it. It was filled with her nudes. Most I've already seen, some of which she's never sent to me before. I thought maybe she was stockpiling for whenever I asked for any. I clicked on a video. It was a sex tape. It was from the POV of the guy, but the thing is, I don't remember ever filming it. It 100% wasn't me. Trust me, I know what my own schlong looks like. My girlfriend recorded having sex with another man. For the last 5 years, we've had our fair share of fights, but nothing too serious. She'd always make me feel loved, and I could tell she really cares about me, or at least I thought she did. After I returned her phone to her, I quickly got up and went home. I couldn't stay there any longer, and now I'm here. I don't really know what to do. I'm planning on confronting her and breaking it off, but right now I'm just so in shock. 5 years down the drain, and I feel like I just lost my best friend. I'm not really sure how to feel. I can't think straight. What would be the best way to handle this situation? Hello Redditors246 says, did you see a date on the video? If it was during the past 5 years, then that could be a problem. But you should probably come clean to her in person so you can gauge her reactions and see if she's lying. It could be a huge misunderstanding, but it could also be a huge breakup. I say just get to the bottom of it. If it does turn out to be a breakup, at least you found out before settling down with her. OP says, I didn't check the date, but it was most likely pretty recent if the folder was sorted by time. Get the date first before confronting, or at least only confront her in person. Do not give her time to delete anything. Edit. It's so that he can check for the date before he confronts her. It is better to have as much information as possible before confronting in the off chance that it's not what it looks like, though admittedly, that chance is very small. As evidence, it is useless, that much is true. It doesn't matter if he gives her time to delete anything. He should definitely talk to her ASAP, and if she ends up deleting the video, then the answer is pretty clear. Edit. Should mention that it's also important if she denies or lies about it after possibly deleting the video. Then the answer is very clear. Yeah, I caught my girlfriend a few years back of her texting someone she had cheated on me with. I confronted her, and when she asked, "What texts are you talking about?" she had deleted the whole thread. Then said, "Why were you looking through my phone anyway?" When I asked why she deleted them, she said, "It meant nothing, just friendly conversation, and I didn't want you to keep seeing a conversation that will only upset you." It's scumbag gaslighting behavior. Okay, so this sounds tough, but there's really only one solution. Ask her about it. You're only upsetting yourself thinking about it and all the details of it. Ask her, and then you can figure out where you stand. I would suggest getting the date before confronting. If he confronts, she can delete and gaslight, saying it wasn't ever there or he was confused. The date is a concrete fact, and it will be harder for her to dismiss it and will have to respond to the problem instead of hiding it. Like, Outlook is not good right now if OP is being honest. They have been together for 5 years. There is a sex video recorded with another dick fairly recently. He needs the date as something concrete so he doesn't just get pulled back in. Even if she deletes it, saying it's an old video, he could just ask why she has an old sex tape video on her phone. They've been together 5 years. Plus, for him to come across it on her phone means it's not deep in her old photos, meaning it could be recent or something she re-downloaded. Especially given that relatively few people, especially 23-year-olds, have the same smartphone they did 5 years ago. So unless she is one of them, it looks like it was either made recently or she had to actively decide to transfer it to this phone. ETA, as the comments below reminded me, automatic backup and restore could make it possible, though improbable, that she legitimately forgot that it was on her phone. And I think that's where I'm going to leave that one. It doesn't have an update yet, neither does the next story, but if they do get updates, I will be sure to include them in future videos. Posted by user ThrowRA80K. Titled, I, 26 male, recently found out that my fiancé, 28 female, has hid her massive debt from me for our entire relationship. I'm thinking of calling off everything and leaving, but everyone around me says I'm overreacting. So, over the last 48 hours, my life and relationship has basically gone off the deep end, and I need some advice. I've been with my fiancé a little over 3 years now. We met through friends and started dating soon after. I proposed at the beginning of the year, and we were planning to try to get married this summer. Due to a certain worldwide event, we had to put that off though. Outside of the normal relationship troubles that most people have, our relationship has been great. I really felt like she was the one, and I loved her. But it turns out she's been lying to me about her financial situation. My fiancé has never been in a good situation financially. She never went to college and works as a server full-time. This was never a problem for me. I went to trade school and make enough money to support the both of us if needed. I have had to give her money before to help her when we were dating, and this never bothered me. We ended up moving in together specifically to help her out in this area. This was never a problem for me, as I really don't care about money. However, this week I found out that she's been lying to me about how bad her financial situation actually was. When we moved in together, my fiancé claimed she only had about $6,000 worth of credit card debt. I gave her the money to pay that off when we moved in together so that it wouldn't be a problem in the future. Well, it turns out this was a lie. This week, I found out that she has much more debt, over $110,000. She did not tell me this. I found this out when a debt collector called me. It turns out when she moved in with me, she didn't inform any of her creditors that she moved. Even though I don't care about the money, this ticked me off to no end. I confronted her yesterday about this. She claims that she was so afraid she was going to lose me at the start of the relationship, she decided to just not tell me about her massive debt and was going to wait till after we were married. For 3 years, she just decided to lie to me. I called off the marriage then and there and packed a bag and left for my parents' house. She's called me nearly 60 times since then, and I've ignored every one. When I told my parents about this, they say that I'm being immature and petty. According to them, this is not a big deal, because everyone has debt nowadays, and if I love her, I need to understand how scared she was to tell me. I do love her, but she lied to me for 3 years about this. Along with this, the fact that she is so far in debt will become my problem if we get married. Everyone I've talked to says that I need to look past this and go back home. But honestly, I'm thinking of just calling her and telling her I'm done and we're over. I feel like I need some advice here. If she didn't go to college and doesn't own a property, how the hell did she amass $110,000 worth of debt? Credit cards. Buddy, I've had some credit card debts in my time that I'm not proud of. $110K is literally insane, unless it's all from medical debt, out of touch with reality kind of insane. Unless there's a really good story behind this, then I would consider this a deal breaker, not because of the money itself, but because it indicates a pattern of compulsive spending behavior that either A, went on for a long time, or B, is still going on and will resume as soon as her credit score bounces high enough for her to open new cards. Do not marry this person right now, and don't accept explanations without receipts, would be my take. I'm normally all about boundaries, but the fact that she covered this up so long is a huge problem, and if she has a gambling addiction or similar, she'll probably still feel compelled to lie. Ditto. I'm like a poster child for stupid consumerism. I can't muster but a small fraction of 110K. Jeebus, that is all-star level credit card debt. I amassed 15K in credit card debt deliberately over 3 years with a frick it, I'm in debt anyway, might as well go full bore attitude. I literally opened a 5K credit card and withdrew the limit $500 per day every day at the ATM. I took out payday loans at multiple places and deliberately didn't pay them back. I deliberately let my overdraft fill up and switched banks. I did everything I could possibly do to amass as much credit card debt, and only hit about 15k. 110k indicates something bigger is going on. I would normally say money is not a factor in love, but it is when it's tied to deceit and lies. I'd say truth or run. Why would you do this? Not the OP you're responding to, but this is exactly how my depression often manifests. I don't have debts, unfortunately, but I definitely blow crap off or act really apathetic about serious issues when it's bad. He was getting laid is my guess. Thomas Wraith says, I work in credit underwriting. 110k is a massive amount of credit card debts. She has likely been lying on credit applications to even have that amount of credit available to her. She will probably be declined for pretty much anything going forward. House loan, car loan, etc. That level of debt at her income level is nearly impossible to pay off. If debt collectors are calling, that means she is already in default for at least one card. She will probably be forced to choose between filing bankruptcy or facing a lawsuit. This is a very big deal. Your parents are wrong. Flee from this situation because it's going to be around for probably the next 10 years as it is. Much longer if her spending addiction isn't addressed immediately. Alright, and I think that's where we're going to leave today's episode, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed the content today. If you guys loved watching it as much as I loved making it, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel already if you haven't. Tell me what you thought of it down in the comments below, maybe like the video, who knows. I'd also like to take this time to thank my awesome Patreon and channel members. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably be homeless on the streets of Ireland, crying, Irish dancing all over town. It would just be a mess. But no, for real, you guys are up on the screen now. Thank each and every one of you guys. And if you personally want to join the club yourself, there are links down in the description below. There's also the join button next to the subscribe button. Small monthly fee, but hey, it goes a long way to help me create more awesome content. Well, with that said, guys, I hope you do have a lovely day, night, sleep, evening, day at work, day at school, whatever you're up to. I hope you keep awesome today. You're looking amazing, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.